Thank you for joining us on the program Public Square. Here we discuss topical issues from the standpoint of the people, and today we would be going purely political on the program, as we will be discussing the outcome of the PDP Southwest Congress that was held in Osogbo last week. After that Congress, Mr. Taufik Arakwaja emerged the winner, and now he is the Chairman, Southwest PDP. I have in the studios with me this morning Mr. Ayo Fadaka. Is the former Zonal Publicity Secretary of PDP in Southwest. Thank you for coming, Mr. Fadaka.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
I also have Mr. Rotimi Ogunleye. He is the stalwart of the APC. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
All right, quickly, without further ado, let's get right into the discussion. Last week in Osogbo, Mr. Fadaka, your party held its Congress, and right after that, of course, we have the figures. Mr. Arakwaja emerged the winner. Before the Congress, there were two factions that were supposedly in what one would call power tussle. One headed and led by former Governor Ayo Fayose, the other led by sitting Governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde. And right before that Congress, there were bickerings in your party. Up until after the outcome, the result was announced, Mr. Ayo Fayose was still seen in a national television program regarding to the outcome of that election as a sham, as a scam, as nothing but a false reflection of party members. What would be your reaction to all of this?
Once again, I want to thank you for this opportunity to put records straight. You will recall that several times in many of the media interviews I granted before the Congress, I kept saying that we do not have a crisis in our party. That what was happening was a contention or a tussle for power at the zonal level. The zonal Congress has since come and gone. It was an in-house election within the PDP, and of course, like you rightly said, winners emerged and losers equally came out of the tussle.
Before we even go ahead in this discussion, Mr. Fadaka, what part of the divide are you?
Well, I don't know what you call a divide in this instance. I know that I contested to return as the Zonal Publicity Secretary of the party. Of course, like I said in any political party, there are always contending forces within same family for positions of influence. If you want to call that Fayose group, so well. And if you want to say those one belong to Seyi Makinde group, so well. But at the end of the tussle, something clearly emerged. That there's a balance of power within the PDP in the Southwest. For instance, I lost with 8 votes only.
Give the margin.
The margin. And even if I want to say I want to contest it, when you take due cognizance of the number of votes that were avoided, there were 23 in all. I had 18 of that 23. On which my name was stated. Maybe somebody first of all missed the spelling and now had to cancel and begin all over again. So those ones were avoided. So in the clear sense of it, what happened within our party was a tussle, yes, but it was not a schism in any manner at all.
It was a tussle. Well, we have somebody who is definitely not from your party, but understands the workings of party politics, Mr. Rotimi Ogunleye. Why do I keep calling you Shola Ogunleye?
I don't know.
Mr. Rotimi Ogunleye, do you think, assessing the whole thing from afar, would you say that what transpired between Fayose and former Governor Ayo Fayose and Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State was nothing short of a crisis?
In politics, when two big guns are on a very clear divide, you can't but have what I call conflict of interest. There will be a kind of politics from the right, politics from the left. But I think I agree with him that if there is a contest within a political party, it is not out of place if I say I want to be this. Then the other person at the other side can say I want to be that. So in the process, you continue to shop from the market of delegates within the party. From there, you see intrigues, you see scheming, you see manipulations, you see all of this.
Okay, now back
it
to...
is just normal in political setting of any political class in Nigeria. It is just the truth.
Okay, now back to the basics. Before the Congress, the major issue that transpired between... We'll continue to refer to what happened because it was a build-up to the actual election. What really transpired between Governor Seyi Makinde and former Governor Fayose was the case of Fayose not considering Makinde as his leader in the Southwest. He believes that Seyi Makinde is a baby politician, like he put it. Do you think that there is any justification to this?
BC, we're at a time that we're having a reapproachment within our party. The issues that were raised before the elections have since been buried. Now, look, you will see that I did not answer your first question fully. You asked me about what happened at the Congress itself. Like there were manipulations, is that what she said? There were manipulations and that kind of stuff. You will see that I clearly decided not to speak on that because we are in the spirit of rebuilding our party to the point that I can contend for power in the Southwest and win same again. So anything, like people say, when there's a contention, of course, you do all that you can do to sway people that matter to your side. Things happened and gone. The important thing is how we came out of the election. For instance, those of us that contested that election, those of us that lost, if we had wanted to contest the result of the election, we had good grounds to do it. Like the party's guidelines said that the elections must be secret ballot. What we had there was lecture taking. It did not conform with what the guidelines of the party did say. But we have decided, in the interest of the party, to let all that lay lie low.
Sometimes it's easier said than done, especially when politics is involved. Are you not? We
are the ones that have interest here now. The issue now is this: we have interest to aspire to positions within the party, and for us to be doing that is to say again that we care about the health of our party. Now, for people like me and others too, where our interest directly conflicts with what is supposed to be the corporate interest of the party, we will allow us to lie in the interest of the party. That is all what we did.
Are you not bothered about the ripple effect of the bickerings as a result of the outcome of that election? Are you not
Before
bothered?
the election held, Governor Fayose spoke and Governor Seyi Makinde spoke, and everything that had happened before the election were addressed, and we clapped for the two of them, that all those things are dying today, and that is what we stand with, for God's sake.
That was before. See, we have to...
On the day of the election, before we held the election, right at the Congress, and that's why I'm telling you, the two of them, the two gladiators that you have identified there, spoke on the need to have a party unity, to have the party interest at heart. Which is why I'm telling you that those of us that are lost marginally, I think I did lost with about 10 votes, I lost with about 8 votes, somebody lost with about 7 votes. It goes down like that. To that extent, you know that if you say you want to contest the result, of course you might win some and lose some. Which means that if you contend that somebody whose vote was voided, maybe first of all wrote A D before ADA and decided to cancel to write FADAK. You understand me? If you want to contest that, you will possibly get that vote to your side. But nobody is interested in that any longer. What we are interested about is the general interest of the PDP. Our interest can suffer for now.
Nigerians are even bothered now, talking about the interest of the PDP, which happens to be the major opposition party in Nigeria.
Yes.
They believe that PDP is enmeshed too deeply in party politics as opposed
contending with APC.
As opposed to taking its rightful place as the major opposition party.
Well, that opinion might not be outrightly correct. There is, as a party, of course, when I was the publicity secretary of the party in the zone, there were so many issues I addressed squarely that confronted what the APC was doing. To some extent, sometimes I want to even lay some level of credit to what became Amotekun today. In my series of press statements, when the bandits were operating in full glare in the southwest, I issued a number of press statements. The most potent of them was on 27th of May 2019, where I called on all the southwest governors to get together and begin to think about how to raise a force that will confront the bandits from the north that are operating here. Of course, at the end of the day, that happened here. So PDP has been of essence in the criticism that has continued to give the federal government led by the APC. You will observe that in recent times, our economy has been in the woods since APC got to power, for instance. In recent times, a governor of the PDP came on here to let the entire world know that Nigeria is now printing money and not earning money, which indeed is a signal to an economic doom.
And that was stifely refuted.
But what's the degree of the refute? Has it been duly done? Has it been convincingly done? That is, you were asking PDP was playing opposition, and I'm pointing issues out to you now.
Okay, now, Mr. Fadaka, before I come back to you, Mr. Rosibi Oguleye, the APC has been in power for running to about 6 years now. 5 years or about, and the PDP has been there. I remember vividly during the build-up to the election that produced President Muhammadu Buhari as president of Nigeria, there were a lot of opposition from the APC. That then it was a coalition of parties, actually. There was a lot of opposition from, the parties that came together to eventually become the APC. But we're not seeing much of that from the PDP now. What do you think could be responsible for that?
Yes, there cannot be, when you look at two elections, the struggle that will lead to a particular victory or a particular election, there cannot be two that will be the same.
Okay.
What led to the oust of PDP in 2015 may not repeat itself maybe in the next 10, 20 years. Because election is about the mood of the people.
Do you think it's not repeating itself already?
Why I'm saying that is this. If you look at what happened in Ondo State when the Labour Party was inaugurated and eventually went to the election with the PDP, you find out that to repeat the same feat has been a very difficult task, because there must have been a kind of understanding and experience must have guided the electorates in such a way and manner that they may not want to go through that lane again. And what is more, opposition politics is not a tea party, it's not the usual politics that most politicians understand. It takes more. It is demanding. So for you to get your ass together and get like minds on the same lane in such a way that you bring them into a struggle that will lead to eventual opposition bloc that can take power from the ruling party, it's not something that you can just walk in the back. It is not that easy. That's what I'm saying. So the PDP may not be getting it right now simply because they are in power for 16 years. For 16 years
uninterrupted.
Yes, for 16 years only, they have been playing national politics. They have not been serious. They came into power from 1999, right from the military rule.
They had an easy ride.
Yes, they metamorphosized into power, and from that in 2016, when they exited power, you find out that for like 1, 2, 3 years, there wasn't enough action in PDP, just because it is a party that came into power from military, and now they may be adjusting to the reality of opposition politics. It is possible. Maybe that is the reason why you are seeing this kind of juvenile political activism now coming up within the party.
Which party is juvenile?
No, I said juvenile political activism within the party.
Within which party?
PDP.
Well, okay, now talking about.
Please, I won't allow that to lie. Honestly, the 16 years of PDP in government, this young man was in my party. You understand? And for me, I won't sit down here and allow him to cast unnecessary aspersions or leave false impressions about my party. The days when it will, even APC is a conglomeration of other parties, really.
Yeah.
Conglomeration of so many parties. What they did that we are not doing now.
Okay.
Is a question of proper recruitment into proper places.
How do you mean?
For instance, I study political science. There's something we call elite recruitment. That is to say, for a position, you recruit the appropriate person that will discharge that position. That may not be taking the proper pride of place in PDP now. In the APC days, let me begin with ACN.
I'll take you on that.
Yes.
But
sure.
Just let him.
When in the days before the APC, we had ACN, we had CPC, and we zero in on the ACN. Now, the ACN took its time to recruit a propagandist of note, who all that matters to him is to give a voice to every issue, even when it means that he has to build a level of inaccuracies to state a position. Yes, that was what they were doing. I remember at that time, when he was still in my party, I was the director of publicity of PDP here. There was a time like Mohammed, and when Boko Haram was starting, and the regime of President Jonathan then sent soldiers against Boko Haram to go and do a military operation. I remember ACN, as it was then, issued a statement saying that it was evil for the president to send forces against Boko Haram, that was an emerging terrorist group then. Of course, when he released that statement, then I expected the fellow that was the National Public Secretary of the party to react. He did not react for one day. And I now reacted to say, and I asked the ACN to declare squarely on which side it is operating from. Is it on the side of law and order, or on the side of crisis within the nation? That statement that you then forced the then ACN to retract what they did then. So essentially what I'm saying is that at that time when there was ACN, Lai Mohammed has been recognized as a propagandist of note, which he continues to do today in any case, and they created that position, or rather they zoned that position to his person, so that it could help in a manner to build a media profile and followership for his party then. Of course, that is what they are doing, that the PDP is not doing.
It's quite unfortunate that we cannot in any way talk about party politics without having to sometimes refer or allude to governance in itself.
Sure.
They are both interwoven. Now, you mentioned elite recruitment. You said elite recruitment is what is missing, probably missing in the PDP now. In your own view, as not just a member, a stalwart of the PDP who witnessed and was a party of the last Congress, would you say that your chairman in the Southwest emerged because he was competent, or because he is competent, or because he is an ally of a sitting governor?
Well, fact is, there were two candidates that went into the elections. The choice of who is going to win the election lies in the hand of our people, the delegates, and they had made a choice. You understand me? They had really made a choice in that extent. He might be appropriate or not be appropriate for that position, but let's just hope that judgment of our people will, at the end of the day, be a plus for my party. And if it is not, it's a baggage we are all going to carry.
Okay, you have any reaction to that?
As regards the judgment of, let me just go back a bit. I wasn't like my boy here said that I was deriding his party. I wasn't doing that. I was only talking about the burden of activism, the burden of opposition policies within the PDP. It was not the usual firebrand opposition that you would expect from a party that is out of government. And I said that could be because The party spent 16 years in office, and they are just experiencing opposition politics for the very first time. That may create a kind of absence of inertia opposition fire in their bowels. And that's why I refer to the activism of opposition politics now as juvenile. So I was talking in that context. So let me just put that straight. Politics in Nigeria, to be sincere, requires any leader or anybody that wants to practice it to have what we call auto-adjustment.
Okay.
You have both the elitist side and you have the other side, which are regarded as foot soldiers. You must have a perfect blend of the two. If you cannot have a perfect blend of the two, you may find it difficult to exist in this in politics of this part of the world.
You think that worked for
I will give my one example.
Okay.
We have been in the trained us. You understand? And we have been in this game for a while.
So in other words, I have a mentor and a mentee.
Yeah, he can't deny the fact that in Ibadan. You see, I wasn't happy when he said that he lost with 5 votes, I think, and that out of 80 votes that were voided, 16 were written in his name. In a very normal climb, where thuggery and brigandage are not imposed into the process of election, such votes wouldn't have been voided. But we must not run away from our reality. That is part of politicking in Nigeria. At a point, you even have the intellectual arsenal to articulate issues, you may not even be allowed to participate in a particular process if they know that it is not your turf. So if he's saying that well, elitist recruitment into PDP, it is good, but I want to advise that opposition politics, like I said, is not a walk in the park. In Nigeria, you have to almost volley down into the throat of the electorate issues that they are supposed to have a grasp of and those that are not supposed to have a grasp of. Like Dr. Olabisi, a leader of course, a governor for the second time running, and I learned he had PhD in economics. Again, he has worked in the bank, and he was part of the economic team of Adam Sushiomole. That ordinarily should have given me a kind of idea about who smite he will carry as a person, minds of so many leadership and experience he has gathered over time. But that statement of his in a public domain, that Nigeria no longer have money, they are printing money, they printed 60 billion naira to top up, is on leadership. It's not only reckless, it shows that the man treasures politics above national order. The question is, when he dropped that bombshell, that's why I said he has not learned the act of opposition politicking. When he dropped that bombshell, what did he want to achieve with it? If you are so grounded in economic matters, you as a governor, how many times has all the governors in Nigeria articulated that there must be budget congruency between the state units and the federal government, so that economic policies will be able to dovetail into the simplest units that those policies are targeted at? How many times have they said that, okay, if we want to begin to run economy the way we should run it, if we want to make this economy viable, do we now price our major revenue item in the budget, which is oil, price it in such a way that we won't need to go back and begin to pay huge subsidy?
You see,
all governors.
That particular topic is a topic for a whole day, for a whole edition. We don't want to.
No, I'm just trying. No, we're not debating. I'm just trying to say that
we don't want to digress.
We're not digress. I'm just trying to tell you that in PDP, opposition politics is juvenile. It's just budding.
You're maintaining that.
Yes, it's just coming up.
Okay.
That's why they are missing it.
I mean, a lot of things happening now is just part of the build-up to 2023 election, I suppose. Right. And a committee was set up, headed by Dr. Bukola Saraki. A reconciliatory committee was set up. Do you think that committee is doing enough to better reposition the PDP to overtake the APC come 2023?
Well, as far as I do know, that committee is doing everything in full consistency with its terms of reference, with what we have seen. But fact of the matter is that it is here to submit its report, so I won't want to preempt whatever will come out in their report at the end of the day. But as far as we do know, we know that Saraki has traveled the length and breadth of this nation in the prosecution of that assignment, and he has even invited interest groups within the party to Abuja to deliberate on this matter. Of course, very soon they will submit their report, and we hope that whatever results that they bring in at the end of the day will go a long way to promote the party.
Okay, now just about 2 days ago in Ondo State, another blow was dealt to the PDP, where Governor Rotimi Akeredolu's election as governor of Ondo State was upheld by the tribunal. How does it make the PDP in Ondo State feel?
First and foremost, I want to let you know that I'm going to give a very patriotic answer to that question. Firstly, I will speak as a party man. One, as a member of the PDP, I am not happy that we lost that case in the tribunal.
Then I'm sure Mr. Rosmi will be very happy.
Yeah, probably, yes, sure, certainly it should be. But as a member of the PDP, I was not happy that we lost that case in court. And I feel that we should have done much more better to win that case in the very first instance. Then secondly, as a patriotic Nigerian that wants the very best for our
done
nation.
Much better. What do you think PDP could have done better than it did?
Well, the management of the case, because I am aware that when that case was taken to court, my party contested the results of the election across the state, only for us to get to the court, and that contest of that contest of election results across the state was abandoned. What my party now prosecuted in court was now sitting on in court was a mere technical issue, which I think does not do justice to our profile as a political party. I have been in this party since 1998. After the first governorship election of this republic that was done, between late Chief Adaba and late Dr. Agagu contested that election together. Of course, everybody knows that Chief Adaba won that election fair and square, and Dr. Agagu of PDP did not challenge the result of the election because he knows doing so might even be painting the party in poor light in the estimation of the people. So that is why I said my answer is twofold. So to that extent, he did not contest it and sat down and contended for power in the next 4 years and won again. I won it.
Will the PDP eventually now allow the sleeping dog lie, or the struggle continues?
Well, I think it's our candidate that is actually prosecuting that case. I think it's our candidate, though he has the support of those in the executive of the party now in the prosecution of the case. They are the ones that are really prosecuting that case, and I want to say good luck to them.
Good luck to them.
Yes, good luck to them.
Okay,
but before you take me away, I told you that I still have a patriotic answer to it. There is something that is wrong with our democracy. Yes, there is something that is wrong with our electoral law. People should not be going to election and be planning after they do election to win election in court, to win power through the courts. It is not right. Honestly, it is not right, because anything that will compromise the electoral expression of the people as expressed to their franchise is a disjustice, as an injustice to the rights of the people as expressed on election day. On election day, when the results came, we won in three local governments only in all the 18. I know the APC won across the state in all the about 15 other local governments. If my party had prosecuted that case to show that we won in the 50 other local governments and were cheated, I would have been home and dry with it. But going to court to prosecute a case on the altar of a technical issue does not do justice to the profile of the party I belong to all this while. We should have contended for powers pure and square that we won that election and we were cheated. And if we know we didn't win that election and we cheated out of it, why should we be contending for what we lost?
Okay, Mr. Rosmi, quickly, because of our time, your reaction to the tribunal judgment?
Yes, my reactions are two. One, about the judgment. Two, to the political class.
Okay.
About the judgment, I think it was a reasoned judgment. I listened to it from beginning to the end. I've recorded the judgment in my gadgets. I listened to it again. I can conclude safely that that judgment was a reasoned judgment. For it to be overturned, it would take something that ordinary person like us, who are no lawyers, cannot be able to see, which I think is not there, because law is about justice, it's about peace, it's about equity, it's about even the masses. Like Hilali said, they abandoned the first case, which has to do with the May election. They did not abandon it. They went to that tribunal with one technique. The technique is they actually wanted the second grant, which is the validity of the eligibility of our candidate, Akeredolu. That was what initially wanted to go to court to go and preach. To go and argue. But the tribunal would not have entertained that because it's a constitutional matter. So if they did not had the first one, which has to do with election rigging, election manipulation, and all of that across the state, if it was not added, then the tribunal would have lacked the jurisdiction to even hear it at all. So they have to add it. So that they got to tribunal and abandon it was a testification to the fact that it was a decoy. And I think the tribunal was able to do justice to that. I'm happy that the tribunal followed the path of justice, gave a reasoned judgment that where every detail there were on the point of law. I'm happy about that. Okay. The second one is to politicians. We must not continue to deride the judicial process and continue to taint our judiciary just because a particular process did not favor us. When we do that, we are killing the system. We are creating unnecessary, judicial cynicism that can bring down the system. When judges, 3 of them, sit down and having listened to the parties involved, and they came out with judgment that is premised on the law, it is better for the other party to approach the appeal court. Of course, if you want to comment about it, you comment about it like civilized person. That is not a place for the commoner. That is a place for those who can actually listen and have their perception about issues. So those that will continue to deride judges, I think the political class should stop that. It's dangerous to our system.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Rotimi Ogunleye, for being a part of the program. Unfortunately, we have to run now. I also want to thank Mr. Ayo Fadaka for coming on the program. But before we go, quickly, a quick one. Mr. Ayo Fadaka was quoted to have said that Mr. Seyi Makinde is quiet but deadly. How deadly can he be?
When you see Governor Fayose, please ask him.
Former governor.
Yes, when former governor Fayose. Ask him.
Yes,
no. It's his opinion in any case, and he's entitled to his opinion.
No. You should be able to read.
No. I can read him. If I were to be former governor of Fayose, I would say the same thing. Former governor of Fayose was in Ibadan. Over 1,000 talks were outside of the venue of the election. They were singing that. Can you come back here? We are going to kill you today.
As a matter of fact, we cannot.
You were not there.
I watched
the video is everywhere.
I watched it on channel. It's on channels.
It's everywhere.
I'm putting channels on video now. Now, if you now see,
there is no party that does not have its fair share of such things, and giving undue attention to it is to beg the issue.
So we just do hope that
exactly. So let's just leave it at that.
You see, ordinarily, if you look at Governor Seyi Makinde with his demeanor, you would not have thought that such a person can mobilize 1,000.
So you agree with Fayose too?
That was just too intimidating.
Okay, all right. So that's a good place to end the conversation today. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program. I really want to say we do hope that going forward, PDP would. Really put its house in order, so that we don't have to do with.
PDP will continue to work stronger.
Look, your crisis is on the way. Your crisis is on the way. We are talking about PDP's crisis. Yours is coming.
Olaniyi, Oluwasegun. Public Square returns next week Thursday. Thank you for listening.